Hello everybody, my name is TheGrumpyBrit and welcome to Grumpy Takes On, the series in which I look at a video game and bring you my honest and unfiltered opinions. Today we are looking at The Legend of Bumbo. This is a game developed by Edmund McMillen, James Interactive and Ridiculon, and it is published by Edmund McMillen. This is the prequel to The Binding of Isaac, and you may recognize Edmund McMillen as a creator of The Binding of Isaac. This is its prequel, and whereas The Binding of Isaac was a roguelite dungeon crawling bullet hell game, this is a roguelite something else. The Steam page describes it as a deck builder, but I'm going to be honest, this isn't really a deck builder. It is a match 3 game with deck building elements. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I think the game has its own sort of little interesting genre-bending twists to it. However, be prepared for that. This isn't a deck builder. It's not a proper true deck builder in my honest opinion. We're going to jump into the game. We're going to have a look at the gameplay. I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to bring you my honest opinions, and we're going to answer the question, is it worth picking up? So there are a number of characters to choose from. Each character is a different iteration of Bumbo. You start with the Bumbo the Brave as default, and you unlock new characters as you go along. We're going to stick with Bumbo the Brave for now. So as I said earlier, this is predominantly a match 3 game. And you can see the tile board down here. If you match 4 or more tiles in this board, you can then use those tiles to certain varying effects. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We're going to match 4 bones. So, very similar to The Binding of Isaac, you have a number of enemies in the room, and you cannot progress to the next room until you've defeated the enemies. And the way you defeat the enemies is by matching tiles and using those tiles as weapons or as blocks and so on. So bones are one of the attacks. So you can see it deals 1 damage down here. I'm going to throw it in this lane, and the enemies are arranged in lanes. You have 3 of them, and they can stack up in the lane, so you can have more than 1 enemy in a particular lane at a time, but you can only have 1 enemy in each spot in that lane, unless there is an enemy with flying, but we'll get into that later. So this is the enemy's health. They have 3 hearts each. I also have 3 hearts. I'm gonna throw a bone at that one, dealing 1 damage. Now, the interesting thing with this match 3 game is that every time you match, I say match 3, it is a match 3, but you have to match 4 in this one. But there we go, it's a match 4, all right. But the interesting thing about this one is every time you match your tiles, you actually get those tiles as a mana source. You can see all the mana sources at the top. And I matched 4 bones last turn, so I have 4 mana now. I can then spend that on these abilities. You see this ability requires 4 bones, and this one requires 2 teeth. So I have 4, so I'm going to do that. And this one is actually going to deal 3 damage, so I'm going to kill that one straight away. And you can also see that I have a moves left up here. This tells you how many switches you have before the enemy takes their turn. So I actually have another match there. I'm going to match 4 brown tiles because I don't think YouTube will appreciate the true name of them. I'm going to place that there. And a brown tile will act as a block. So that will block 1 hit from this lane. What have I got here? I got some teeth. I got teeth. So I can use this for 1 damage. So I'm going to hit that one. I probably need to match the green now. So if you match 4 green, that will clog up an enemy. So I can clog up that enemy for 1 turn, so it won't get to take its attack next turn. And I'm going to end my turn there and let the enemy have theirs. So you can see that that got blocked by the brown tile, and that enemy didn't get to take its attack, but it will take its attack this turn. So now I have to deal with it either by killing it using a brown tile or a green tile to stop it down. So yellow will give you another move. Although I had to spend a move to get that, but still, what can I do here? I'm going to have to, I think I'm going to have to play this defensively and place a brown tile there. And I have no spells that I want to. I actually might do this. This costs 2 teeth. I might re-roll the board. There we go. That's actually a decent re-roll. So now I can match those 4. I can use that to kill that one. And then I can use my spell to finish off the last one. And this is the majority of the gameplay. This is what you're going to be doing for the majority of your time playing this game. You're going to be killing the enemies, moving on. It is a roguelite, so if you do die, you have to start all over again. You will lose your loadout. But we now can choose our reward for this room. We can either take melatonin or Mizbang. Melatonin, on prime all enemies. I think that means enemies that are attacking will stop attacking for that turn. Or we can take Mizbang, which will remove a tile and all adjacent tiles. I'm going to take melatonin. We're going to give it a try. So here we are again in a second room. We are faced with 3 enemies. Rocks are impassable from what I can tell, by the way. You can't get through them normally anyway. So I don't really have any matches here. I don't have anything. I'm going to have to do that. And I'm going to place this on the right hand side. So green gas is another mechanic in this game. If you attack down a lane that has green gas in it, if you hit the gas, you will take damage. So we're going to try and avoid that if we can. But we have this middle enemy here is going to attack, so I want to try and get rid of him, which is easily done. So we got to match 2 there, which was quite nice. Although, as I just said, I don't want to attack down these lanes because they're going to hit me with gas. However, if I attack down this lane, watch what happens. There we go. We blocked that. We blocked that with the brown tile. So I can now use my spells, which I will murder that guy. So these tiles, these flashing stars, are wild tiles, and they can be used to match with any color as long as you get 4 or more. So that might help us out quite a bit. What do we want to do here? Do we have any... I really could do with another bone, but we're going to wait till next turn. There we go. So, because the enemies are arranged in lanes, if I attack this lane, it's only going to hit the foremost enemy. So if I throw this bone, it's going to hit him first and miss the one at the back. So you have to be mindful of that. However, I do get my Bumbo Smash, so... This is the majority of the gameplay. You might be able to see already that the game has a very unique art style. The game is hand-drawn, but not only is it hand-drawn, or it has a hand-drawn style, but it also has a cardboard feel. Everything is made out of cardboard, and I really like that. I really like that, especially if you know the lore behind The Binding of Isaac. That lore carries over to this game. It kind of makes sense. It makes sense that everything is kind of... Is it real? Is it just make-believe? Who knows? But I really like the art style. Everything looks very similar to The Binding of Isaac, except this one looks almost like a child's play. We're gonna... I'm gonna get rid of the fly. So one of my immediate criticisms of this game, and this is comparing it to The Binding of Isaac, which I'm going to be doing a couple of times during this video, but one of my criticisms of this game is that whereas The Binding of Isaac, you could walk around the dungeon, you could explore at your own pace, you could go through different rooms, and you always had this element of risk and reward. If you were low on health, going into a room might end up killing you, but it might also get you health back, or it might get you new items. That's not present in this game. Every time you complete a room, you just immediately move to the next room. You don't have any choices, and that's something that I would have really liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more exploration or a few more choices when it comes to progression paths. Whereas games like Slay the Spire, you get to choose which path you go. Games like Binding of Isaac, you get to choose your path. You don't get to do that here, and it's a bit of a shame. But there we go. That's one thing that I would have liked to have seen. But we're going to try and get rid of that big dude before he spawns too many little dudes. I'm going to re-roll that board. There we go. Give me a... So the more tiles you match, the greater the effect. As you can see there, because I matched 5, I got 2 uses of the tile rather than just 1. And if you match 7, you get an even greater effect, almost like an ultimate effect, which is pretty cool. Oh, I messed that up. Never mind. One thing as well that you should know is that you can cancel a move. If you click and hold, it will allow you to move the entire row or column, and you get to see what it would look like before you commit to it, and you can just drop it back there if you decide you didn't want to move that one. But I did. I wanted to move that one. So there's our wild one. We can match that with anything we want. I don't think we can actually do any matches though. So actually we could match with that one. It's not really going to help us yet though. So I can't attack that guy this turn, otherwise I'm going to take damage. So we're going to... One thing that you can do is throw it down another lane. So this is the first boss, and just like the Binding of Isaac, bosses are random, so you face different bosses each time. This guy we have to not really damage the eyes. The eyes are invincible. The boss has 15 health, 14 left now. So we're going to smash the boss. Okay, so now we have to hit those eyes to get them out of the way. I'm not going to do that. I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to take my 2 moves and do that. And there we go. That's the first boss down. So every time you defeat a boss, you will be taken to the casino, I think they call it. We're gonna have to choose a reward first. So puzzle piece, wilds give more mana, or mom's photo may add blind to attack. So we're gonna take the puzzle piece. And then we get to go to the casino where we get to upgrade our character. So you have a stat wheel, and this will give you a bonus. It will always give you a bonus. It will never give you something bad. But that costs 15 coins. We have a very, very rigged game here that costs 5, and that can give us any number of bonuses. And then we also have some effects on our spells here that will drastically change the way our spells work. And in some cases I found combining these with certain other characters can be very, very powerful indeed. And we can also heal there. I'm going to spin that wheel. So we get an extra heart. Very nice indeed. And I still have 6 left. So I'm going to play the very, very rigged game. So we could get a turtle shell, which means we take less damage. That would be very nice, wouldn't it? But good luck keeping up with that. I'm going to pick that one. No, but we got a heart at least. We got a soul heart. Soul hearts work exactly the same as they do in the Binding of Isaac. They are temporary. Once they are gone, you cannot refill them. And we have 1 heart. We have 1 coin left. We're going to keep that. So this is it. This is your main gameplay loop. And I'm going to be honest, I enjoy it. The game is quite fun. It is not overly complicated. It is a puzzle game. It's a puzzle match 3, or I guess you could call it match 4. And that's what it is. It's not as good as The Binding of Isaac. I'm going to be honest. It's not as good as The Binding of Isaac. Some of the key features of The Binding of Isaac I find are missing. The exploration. The depth just isn't there yet. But I guess that is something that could be added in the future, but I'm not going to speculate on how well the game is going to be improved in the future. I'm here to tell you how the game is now. And I'm going to be honest, the game it's okay. It's not the best game ever. It's a cool little game. I enjoy it. But I feel like it needs a little bit more love to it just yet. The game is quite cheap. The game is, I paid around £10 for it, so it is a fairly cheap game, so you're not going to get as much content as in some other games. But I would like to see a little bit more done with it. I would really, really like to see an exploration. Let me choose which rooms I go into, you know? Let me choose the way that I go. I like that aspect of I made the right choice or I made the wrong choice. And that just isn't here. But aesthetically, the game is kind of cool. I like the aesthetics. The music is awesome. I'm going to play a little bit of music for you a little bit louder just now so you can hear that. So that is the music. The music is pretty cool. I like it. And overall, I think this game is... it's okay. It's quite fun. I feel like another criticism I have of this game is that a lot of times if you lose, it's not necessarily your fault. There is a lot of RNG to this game, and that RNG usually swings one of two ways. Either you stomp your way through and you have no problems whatsoever, or you get yourself in an impossible situation. And I don't know how you'd fix that. I honestly don't know how you'd fix it. I think it's something that, because of this match 4 system, is always going to have a layer of RNG to it. And yeah, you can reduce that RNG by having different spells, certain spells and combos that are better, but you can never truly take away that element of RNG. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. RNG is RNG. You know, a lot of roguelites run off of RNG, and that's fine. But it is something that, as this is more of a puzzle game, it is a little bit frustrating sometimes when you lose to a fight and there was no way out. You know, there was no way, you just didn't get the tiles that you needed, or you didn't have the required sort of spells to overcome the particular boss, because different bosses have different quirks and some of them can be quite challenging. So it can be a little bit disheartening when you kind of lose and it's not your fault. But then again, it is a roguelite, and roguelites are sometimes they are challenging and unforgiving, and you can't really hold that against a game in this genre. So just be aware of it. It's something that I kind of expected going into a roguelite. You always do. It's not the easiest game ever. But that being said, it's really not the most challenging roguelite either. It's, as I say, it's less skill-based and much more patient than other roguelites. So again, The Binding of Isaac, you need a high degree of skill to navigate some of the harder levels. With this, it's more about patience and planning and picking the right choices. And that's it. It is a good game. I'm going to be honest, I think it is worth looking at. I'm not sure if it's worth picking up. I think it is worth keeping an eye on. If you like this genre a lot and you like the gameplay that I've demonstrated today, then go ahead, pick it up. However, I would recommend waiting until the game has a little bit more content, just because I feel like this game has the framework of a really good game. Just like The Binding of Isaac, when that first came out, it had the framework of a very, very good game, and it got improved over time with the expansions and the updates. I think this game is in a very similar spot. It has the basics. It's there. It's a fun game. It has the framework ready, and I like that. But I think it needs a little bit more adding in, and that's something that can happen over time. But anyway, this has been my grumpy take on The Legend of Bumbo. If you have enjoyed the video, let me know by liking and commenting down below. Let me know if you're going to pick this one up. I think it's a good game. I think it's definitely got promise, and I definitely will be playing a little bit more of it. So let me know if you're going to be playing it as well down in the comments, and I will see you next time.